Alright, this is video 4.5. Today we're going to be taking our data and displaying it rather than just finding central tendencies or variability. So there's a couple of different graphs we're going to talk about. A bar graph is one that you've probably seen before. You can either use vertical or horizontal bars to display your data. A frequency table is going to list items together according to the number of times that they happen. Kind of like the video from yesterday with the kittens. That was a frequency table. I'll show you how to make those. A histogram, which is very similar to a bar graph, but you know, a bar graph you're going to have spaces in between your bars. In a histogram, there's equal intervals. There's basically what it comes down to is no spaces between the bars. And then a line graph, which is going to use line segments to show how the data changes as it moves about. So let's start off. We are looking at a group of randomly chosen teenagers and finding out how old they are when they get their driver's license. So we're going to make a frequency table and then we're going to make a bar graph. So our frequency table might look something like this, where we have our age of license received. So we've got our age here, and then how often it happens that they're getting it at that age. Okay, so how often, I don't know how long to make my graph, so how often does it happen at the age of 16? So we're going to count that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times according to this polling. How often at 17? All right, so at 17 we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 times. At 18 we've got 1, 2, 3, and at 19 we have 1, 2. So that would be a frequency table. It's generally easier to make your bar graph if you have a frequency table to begin with. So in our graph we need to have two axes. We need to label our axes. So over here we're going to call this frequency. We can take this straight from our table here. So that line, that number is going to go right there. And then over here we'll just call this age. Alright, so we're going to have a bar at 16, a bar at 17, a bar at 18, and a bar at 19. Now, our frequency is going to start out at 0, but it would probably work pretty well to just go by 2s. So there's a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Now if I was making you do this on the computer, they could be really pretty. There's lots of really fun, easy ways to do data and graphs on a computer that I can show you if you need. So at 16, they're going to go up to about 11. Color in my bar. At 17, there were 4, so that's where our bar would go. At 18, there were 3. And then at 19, there were 2. Now, when you're doing your science fair data, and you need to do that in a table, whatever data you're gathering, if you'll put it in a frequency table and then also put it in a lovely bar graph or a line graph, are usually the best ways to display your data that you're getting from your science fair project. Don't draw it out by hand like I've just done here, or what I'll accept in math class. I'm not going to make you do it on the computer. But for the science fair project, you're definitely going to want to do it on the computer and print it out with pretty colors. Let's try one where we make a histogram. So this fella named John surveyed 15 people and he found out how many pages were in the last book that they read, and then use that data to make a histogram. Okay, so first we're going to make our frequency table. So this time I'm going to make my table looking like this. So most of the time you can make your table look however you want. Okay, so how many pages the books had and how often that happens. If you can spell. Rather than saying the specific pages, we're going to do, since it's a histogram, we want ranges. So if it was from 0 to 99 pages, 100 to 199 pages, 200 to 299, how far up do we need to go? 636 is going to be our highest. 300 to 399, 400 to 499, 500 to 599, 600 to 699. That should be good. All right, so how many books had between 0 and 99? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Between 100 and 199, we've got 1, 2, 3, oh, not that one, 4, 5. And then between 2 and 299, we've got 1, 2, 3. Between 300 and 399, we have 1, 2. Between 4 to 499, there's 0. And between 5 and 599, there's 0. And then there's one crazy guy who reads a 630-page book. So we got a 1 there. So when we make this histogram, it's going to look a lot like a bar gram, except our lines are going to connect. So over here, we're going to put frequency. Our greatest frequency is 5. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the bottom here, we're going to put our pages. We're going to go from 0 to 99. So 199. Okay, rather than doing the 99, let's do the hundreds. Alright, so between 0 and 100 there were 4, so our line's going to go here. And then between 1 and 200 there were 5, so our line's going to go up and come down. 2 to 300 there were 3, so our line's going to come down here. 3 to 400 there were 2. There was 0 between 400 and 500, and 500 to 600, 600 to 700 there was 1. So the bars don't have anything different between them, and if you were going to be doing this on your document, you would have them be different colors. Let's see. Let's change colors. Got yellow. Let's do a blue. Orange. How about a green? Alright, so there's our histogram. Just remember, the biggest thing between a histogram, the difference, and a bar graph, it's going to be a bar graph has space between the bars, and a histogram that doesn't. So now I've already given you the frequency table. We're just going to make a line graph. So when you're making the line graph, you're going to need to plot data points. You're going to kind of need to make these into ordered pairs. Alright, so on this side, we're going to take number of cases. And they go between 0 and 52,000. So I'm going to make my little lines of 10,000. Graph's not quite big enough. And then down here, I'll do my years. So we've got 1975, 1980, 1985, 1990, 1995, and 2000. So I'm just going to look at I'm just going to kind of plot them. So between 1975, we had 49 293, which is going to be slightly less than 50,000. So I'm going to put my little dot right there. 1980 was 52,552. So that was like line up between my 980 or my 1980 there. 1985, it dropped down to 38. That's going to be about right there. 1990 was at 23, so that's going to be like right there. 1995, it was down at 7,000. And then 2000, it was down to 2,800. So it's a pretty big drop right there. So we have a slight increase, and then a decrease, 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 only slight decrease. Now it says to estimate the polio cases in 1993, which would be about right here. So we could estimate it's between 10,000 and 20,000. So maybe like 12 or 13,000. So we might say that that's about 12,000 cases. Oops. The actual number of cases in 1993 were 10,487. So it's just used for estimation, especially since this is a hand-drawn graph and not drawn on graph paper where you could literally connect the dots and find out the exact spots of the graphs. So, of course, a computer-generated graph would be much better at estimating it. But it gives you a good idea to see that it's the numbers coming down and not increasing. Go ahead and click on the link and complete the homework, and we'll see you later.